Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series every single day here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, more important than asking for yours. And lots is popping off because of the World Cup, players playing well, being linked to Chelsea, speaking to the press all the time, and big clubs like Chelsea get referenced. Are you coming to Chelsea? Did you almost go to Chelsea? Are you leaving Chelsea? Today, we're talking about man of the moment for the Netherlands, Dumfries, of course being heavily linked to Chelsea prior as rotational backup to Reece James. On the left, we got Cucurella and Chilwell. On the right, we got James. Granted, people want to, look... We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the midfield. And we'll talk about the friendly and the players that are Chelsea players that are with Graham Potter right now and what's going on. Lots to get into. Please do settle in. Thank you for everyone who likes the video. Likes have been up a little bit, so that's great. Thank you for dropping a like. It's just a click of a button, and it means a lot. You're welcome to subscribe as well. And should you choose to do so, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. This video is brought to you by OneFootball. Bang, 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 bang. There it is, right below my visage. OneFootball's free. Why wouldn't you want to have something that's great and free? It's the best football app. And in the world where football is everywhere all the time and you need to keep up with the lineups, the fixtures, the score lines, the match stats, the general statistics, the transfer news, whether it be international or indeed your club side with the transfer window coming up, you need OneFootball. The link is in the top of the description. Go give it a quick click, have a ganders, see what you think. Right, back in the Stamford Bridge studio. Before we talk about maybe Kante going on a free and new midfielders coming in, which actually is an exciting thing, and before we talk about Dumfries, and we're going to look at his stats as well, and spoiler, positive, exciting, appropriate, good. So yeah, there's that. But let's start off with an article on the Evening Standard by Naz Kinsella talking about Potter and what's going on at Chelsea. So, Chelsea will return this Tuesday, the day after tomorrow, that is, at time of recording. Chelsea will return to training camp on Tuesday following a break of the start of the World Cup. Graham Potter's players are not, the ones that are not involved in Qatar, gather at Cobham's training base for 5 days before they travel to Abu Dhabi for, of course, the warm weather training, as well as the friendly match with Aston Villa, which is high-level opposition. Good players, very rich club, Aston Villa, but they've got a great squad. Go through their Villa squad. Most of them will be available, I think. Obviously, like Martinez is playing for Argentina, etc., but most of them will be available. And, they've got Unai Emery as coach now. He's a friggin' good coach, bro. So this will be a good opportunity for Potter to, just try stuff out, man. This is where we are right now. So, Chelsea are also discussing the prospects of behind closed doors friendly this week. The Blues face Aston Villa in Abu Dhabi on the December 11th as they set up preparations because, of course, the Prem returns on the 27th, or we do, against Bournemouth in the Premier League. So another friendly, that'll be interesting to see who plays, to see who scores, to see who plays well. Players not in the World Cup include Jorginho, Aubameyang, Broja, and they'll basically come back on Tuesday. Of course, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, and Fofana are also returning from injury, and they're first teamers. They're all starters, depending on how you view Cucurella versus Chilwell. I personally think Chilwell still starts above him, though I think Cucurella is a great player. Now, N'Golo Kante is a longer-term absentee. He's continuing his work in the gym, and it's unclear when he will come back, as well as Kepa Arrizabalaga. But Kepa's, I think, will probably be back quite soon. Potter will boost his squad with several youth players, like Lewis Hall and Amari Hutchison. They could also make the trip to Abu Dhabi. Amari Hutchison, we're still waiting to see in the first team. He, is such a highly rated attacker, obliterating the development level, has been on the bench a couple of times for Potter. Of course, we signed him from Arsenal. And Lewis Hall, who we were all very excited to see when he got that start and play for Chelsea a couple of times. Lewis Hall has reportedly, if you are to believe Twitter reports of certain handles, he's reportedly been promoted to the first team. Lewis Hall. Like, he doesn't train with the development squad anymore. And of course at Cobham there's like two squads, the academy, and then there's like a short walk to the first team. Apparently that's it, he's in the first team, which is sensational news because he looked like an absolute beast when he played well for us recently. So Lewis Hall being promoted, it's great news. I'm really keen to see all these players return, to watch that friendly against Aston Villa, because we all get to watch that on the 11th. I believe it is the 11th, whatever it is, 10th or 11th. And if there is a friendly prior, of course it won't be televised, but it would be interesting to learn who does well, what, where, etc. Let's move on. Before we talk about Denzel Dumfries and look at his stats, midfield. Fabrizio Romano, transfer guru, has been talking about N'Golo Kante. How N'Golo Kante, how old is Kante? 31 going on 32? A player that relies on his ability to sprint around and bust a gut and bust a lung to make these interceptions and cover ground and press, which is what makes him a sensational player. How long does an injury-prone N'Golo Kante, how long is he able to do that? Now, he wants to stay at Chelsea. That's what Fabrizio Romano is saying. He would love to stay at Chelsea, but there's no agreement with Chelsea. But he loves London, he loves the club, he loves the fans, etc. He loves his life at Chelsea. He would like an extension at Chelsea. Of course, his contract runs out in 6 months. His contract runs out in 6 months. But the news, as things stand, is Chelsea do want to rebuild the midfield. And for me, this is important because Kante he's in history the best player at what he does. A world-class talent. You know, the two world-class players we've had in recent years is Eden Hazard and N'Golo Kante. I think they're the two undisputed. Like, you could say Reece James is our best player right now and possibly the best right back in the world. But he's still obviously quite young, and, I don't want to say, you could say Reece James is world-class, but I think the undisputed world-class talents and performers that we've had in recent years, it's really only two. It's Eden Hazard, who was like poetry, like talent through the roof. He could be, if he had the dedication, he could have been as good as he wanted to be, essentially. And Kante is unique, one of a kind, best, at what he does. The only issue is, Chelsea would probably re-sign him to a new deal, just one that's not agreeable to him. Now, I don't think he's been greedy. I think he's a 31-year-old that knows probably he could go to PSG, sign a 3+1 deal on ridiculous money, and they'd take him because he's a Parisian French legend who's won the World Cup. So there's that, first and foremost. And Chelsea probably just wouldn't give him the money he wants, especially with the new ownership. Everything's data-led now, so they'll be like, right, Kante's very good when he plays. How much does he play? What's his injury record? Right, it's not great. This is not a good asset for us. This is not a smart business decision for us. This doesn't make sense for us. Yes, he's marketable. Yes, he's great. But how marketable is he? He's marketable because he's the best and he's a sweet guy. But he's not like a big gregarious character of like, and he's a leader by example. But do you know what I mean? He's not this character that you want to keep around. He is a character you want to keep around. I'm finding this difficult to say because he's obviously like a really lovely guy, but he's not like a John Terry that, when he left, Kante came in, he dropped JT, but he said he was so valuable even though he wasn't playing. You can't imagine Kante's that kind of character, is what I'm trying to say. So they probably would offer him, look, we'll give you 100k a week plus the ability to make it 200k a week if you play games, essentially. And we'll give you a 2+1 deal. This is all off the top of my head. I'm like making this up. But Chelsea might be prepared to make a structured deal like that. But he would probably be like, oh, no, I want at least this much. This is my last chance to get a fairly decent contract, even though I'm not in my prime. So there you go. It's a very, very difficult one. But the feeling internally at Chelsea is they want to rebuild the midfield with younger players. There's new chances that Kante could part ways. Basically saying he would go for Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea do have really young midfielders. Cesare Casadei could be in the warm weather training, of course, the old Inter midfielder, the youngster that we've signed, scoring a perfect hat-trick for the development squad, scoring a 40-yard screamer for the development squad. It's a low level of football, but he's clearly a special player. We've got attacking eights and sort of Chukwuemeka, Mount, Gallagher and stuff. We've got Kovacic. I don't think he's going anywhere. I do personally think there's a chance that we keep Jorginho. I think he's the kind of player that Graham Potter does like. He passes it around, he's quite technical, but it leaves us open in transition. I feel like if we play Jorginho, we need to play someone next to him that's going to cover the spaces, and we're going to really need to get creativity out of the wing backs and, you know, the couple of forwards that play in front of them, which is, at the moment, you don't think there's many goals in the Chelsea team. There is going to be a big midfield signing, I'm certain of it, whether it is next month or it is in the summer. We know, of course, we've already got one Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano, and that is Christopher Nkunku. Of course, we reflected on that in yesterday's video. But many of you, and quite rightly so, would be like, it's all very well, yeah, and we've got a bunch of midfielders, we'll sign another one, we've got the defenders, we've got attackers that all win Man of the Match awards at the World Cup, but don't fit with each other in the Premier League at Chelsea. Yes, it's all a problem. We will sign new attackers. But many of you, and quite rightly, would talk about the right wing-back position, and let's do that. So, of course, Chelsea have been linked to Denzel Dumfries for some time. The Dutch international currently starring at the World Cup, who plays for Inter, of course, won the Scudetto, having a good run at the World Cup. He essentially knocked out USA, being involved with all three of their goals. He got 2 assists and a goal himself. He was the sort of like highlighting, he was the sort of, you know, big hitter in that game. Not everyone's convinced by Denzel Dumfries. Yaz from the Tinkermen podcast with Joe Tweedy on London is Blue, he was talking about Dujon Sterling. I get it. If it's going to be a rotational second choice, then why spend X amount of money on a right wing back option when you could... I mean, I don't know about Dujon. He will know more about Dujon than I do, but I remember watching Dujon a few years ago and the development squad, and I don't know, he's been around for a while, and I'm just not sure he's going to come into the team and suddenly do well. I think he did have a loan. I don't know how productive it was. I don't think his numbers were very good. But, you know, I'd be more inclined to do the buyback clause for Tino Livramento at Southampton for £25 million, which, again, he's just gone there for nothing, so it seems silly. But if we're going to go down that route, but if you want elite competition for a fullback / right wing back or right wing back specialist, someone that, if Reece James isn't available, you've got a very good offensive fullback, wing back, than Denzel Dumfries, who's been linked to Chelsea a few times. And we're going to read an article from The Athletic because he's asked about Chelsea in a moment. But yes, let's take a look at his scouting report on FBref. So this is against fullbacks. And as you can see, he's very, very attacking. He's in the 99th percentile for expected goals, non-penalty expected goals, non-penalty expected goals, and expected assists, shots on target, shots creating actions, touches in the final third, penalty kicks won. He's all in the top 1%, the 99th percentile for all those goal scoring and creative metrics. And then 98 for goals, non-penalty goals, shots total, average shot distance as well. More shot creating actions, and then the rest you can see that really progressive. He was good at winning aerials. He draws fouls. He gets shots on target. He's a really attacking and generally quite creative right wing back, full back. He's 26 years old, so he's in his prime. Would he come to Chelsea to compete with, again, probably the best right wing back in the world in Reece James? Maybe. He probably will see Reece James is injured quite a lot. He probably will see that sometimes Reece James might, I don't know if Potter would do this, but play right wing back, or maybe they would swap positions, or do you know what I mean? Maybe there's a way they'd both be on the pitch sometimes in certain scenarios, but he probably would see Chelsea play a lot of competitions. There's 2 cup competitions in the UK, of course, and Chelsea are always in the Champions League, generally. I don't know about next season in our rebuild. But I'm going to read you a quick, short article on The Athletic about his comments. Denzel Dumfries has been linked to Chelsea. His links to Chelsea he sees as a, quote, compliment, but says he's focused on Inter Milan. Dumfries, 26, was superb for Netherlands against the United States. Of course, creating 2 goals before creating one for himself. He moved to Inter Milan from PSV at the start of the 21-22 season. Oh, okay, so Yeah, so he did win this. He did win the Scudetto with impressive performances in the Italian side. Okay, cool. So when he was asked about his links to Chelsea, to the Athletic, he says, "Of course, it's a compliment to be linked to Chelsea." But then he also said it's good to be in Nerazzurri, which is of course an Inter player. He says I'm focused on the national team, and he says he plays for a good club in Italy. But being linked to Chelsea Football Club is indeed a big compliment. Now, there's been stories that recently we've reacted to on the channel that Inter Milan would consider selling Denzel Dumfries. I mean, they're always going to compliment their current clubs because they'd be stupid not to. They're trained, they're PR, they don't want to be disrespectful. But there was articles suggesting that Denzel Dumfries could be made available to Chelsea in January because Inter's very rich owners struggling with financial fair play still, hence selling off loads of assets for the last couple of years. Excuse me. So I think Denzel Dumfries could be one of them for like maybe 40 million euros. That he still will have quite a long time left on his contract, so whether they'd actually... I saw a 40 million euro thing. Maybe it would be more expensive than that. But a lot of people would think this is exactly what we need. Reece James makes us a different team. When he's not there, we're just not good enough. We just don't have that like proper profile of, you know, and Denzel Dumfries is strong as well. He gets up and down, he's strong, he's creates goals, he scores goals. It's just a proper right wing back like Reece James. When we don't have Reece James, at least you can think of Cucurella and you can think of Ben Chilwell. And Aspi just hasn't got that juice anymore. He can't get up and down. He hasn't got the goals like Denzel Dumfries. I mean, you know, we looked at the stats, man. Like, you know, those stats are absolutely crazy. And he's still playing in the top 5. You know, he's playing in the 3rd best league in the world, I think. Serie A, I think they might be 3rd behind La Liga and Prem. Regardless, very, very impressive indeed. What do you guys think, though? Would you take Denzel Dumfries in January? Would you think this is something that we need? Comment down below. I look forward to seeing your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Thank you for leaving a like and subscribing. And yeah, feel free to check out OneFootball. Link in the top of the description. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Keep it locked. Thanks for joining me. Peace.